Luke and the Coaches, and Luke's the double tender engine story. Luke was enjoying his life on the island of Sodor, but he still has a lot to learn. You are a double tender engine, Luke, said the Fat Controller, and also you're very cool and really useful when I first had you on my railway, and now you have many things to learn. James will teach you the ways, and now don't even think about having too much accidents with coaches again, with trucks and coaches again, because it's a silly idea, isn't it? Luke knows what the Fat Controller meant. He could well remember that dreadful accident yesterday. Be careful with the coaches, Luke, said James. They don't like being bumped. The passengers came to admire Luke. I'm a double tender engine, he said. A shower, and suddenly let off steam. A shower of water fell on the Fat Controller's bright blue car, and with that, James was behind him, and Luke was ready to go. The guard blew his whistle, and Luke decided to push James. Come on, said Luke. Don't push, said James. Don't go so fast, said the coaches. There they are puffing past by Proteus and Edward at a siding, and then they had to stop at Wellsworth Station for two, and there the passengers inside the two coaches had to get out. It was their holiday in Wellsworth Station. It was their holiday in the hotel, and that is why they had to stop at Wellsworth Station. They were out of the coaches, but they didn't seem to know about the Fat Controller's bright blue car, and then Luke was worried that they might know about it, but they didn't. This made Luke very happy. They finally arrived at the blue and white windmill where Toby and Henrietta were waiting. Hello, Luke, said Toby. Feeling better? Yes, that's right, said Luke. And just then his driver told him that it was time to go home. Oh, that's my driver telling me to go home. I must go, said Toby. And Toby puffed away with Henrietta. The passengers got out and in the windmill, and they all puffed away. What James and Luke realised was that Proteus and Edward were in that same sharp bed, were in that same sharp line where Luke had his accident yesterday. But the line's been mended, and so is the fields, so that the cows and the animals and the wild rabbits are finally back in the field again. And Luke was enjoying it, but he was a little bit naughty and not paying attention. They finally arrived at the main line, and there was Bulgy, ready to take the passengers home. And so was Jeremy too. The passengers from inside the coaches got out and into the road vehicles. But Jeremy didn't know about what Luke did to the Fat Controller's car. Luke was worried, but he doesn't know what the Fat Controller might say about it, and he puffed away, feeling worried. Jeremy laughed. So did Bulgy and Bertie too. The next day, the Fat Controller came to the shed, and there was Luke next to Bert and Stepney behind him. And with that, the Fat Controller spoke severely to Luke. "If you can't behave well, I shall take away your 2 tenders and have you paint. If you can't behave well, I shall take away your black coat and have you painted yellow like Molly. If you can't behave well, I shall take away your 2 tenders and transform you into a 2-tank engine, and then take away your black paint and have you painted yellow like Proteus and Molly." And with that, Luke did not like this at all, and he didn't. And with that, Luke puffed crossly away about this. He was very annoyed. The next day, Luke arrived at London Station, feeling very cross and banging the grumbling coaches hard. They did not like this at all. "Come on, don't talk. Come on, don't talk," said Luke. "Gordon never has to fetch his own coaches, and let me see if I'm better than him." Luke puffed away and was determined to be like Gordon. "You're going too fast, said the coaches, but Luke laughed and decided to be like Gordon. "Don't go too fast," said the coaches, but just then Luke was going too fast that the coaches told him that he had to stop. "What's the matter?" Luke asked his driver. "Ha ha ha," said his driver. "You've been banging the coaches, and that is why your hose pipe is broken," he said. "Now what shall we do to fix it?" said the fireman. The hose pipe was between the express coach and Luke's last tender coupling, and with that, "Maybe we'll ask the passengers," said the inspector. The passengers got out, and there was a man with his yellow coat with his grey laces from Barnes and Noble. Just then they decided to ask him if they could borrow his laces. "Excuse me, man," they said, "can we borrow your laces?" No, I won't hand them over," said the man. This made the drivers and firemen very cross, and with that, the passengers started complaining and saying what a bad railway it was. Then they told the man how bad he was instead. The man decided to share the laces, and he handed them over. And finally, Luke's driver and fireman put the newspaper on, and they tied the laces on the hole. And with that, when it was finally over, Luke was finally be able to pull the train. Luke did say so again, but it was his attitude that troubled the Fat Controller at first, and now Lucas became a sad and wiser double-tender engine, and was determined never to bump coaches again.